My name is Norma Daly, and I'm 28 years old. I work as an accountant at a mid-size firm, steady hours, decent pay, nothing flashy. I'm good with numbers, good with planning, good with taking care of myself. I've learned to be. When you grow up knowing no one's going to catch you if you fall, you get very good at landing on your feet. My younger sister, Madeline Daly, is 25. And Madeline has never needed to land on her feet because my parents have always made sure she had somewhere soft to fall. The favoritism didn't start with money. It started with attention, with tone, with who got praised and who got, "You're fine, you don't need help." When we were kids, Madeline was the miracle baby, the sensitive one, the creative one. I was the independent one. The label stuck. Independent is what adults call you when they don't plan on showing up. Madeline took dance lessons $150 a month, piano lessons with an instructor who lived 2 towns away, art camps every summer. My parents never missed her recitals. Flowers, photos, standing ovations. When I asked to join the soccer team in 7th grade, my dad said the fees were too expensive. 3 months later, Madeline started horseback riding lessons. She quit after 6 months. I never played soccer. At 16, Madeline got a used Honda Accord. Not a junker, clean, reliable stereo intact. When I turned 16, my dad taught me to drive in his car and told me I could borrow it for special occasions if I asked 3 days in advance. I bought my own car at 19 after working 8 months at a grocery store, a beat-up Toyota that leaked oil. I loved it because it was mine. College followed the same pattern. I got into a good state school with a partial scholarship. My parents asked how I planned to pay the rest. I figured it out: loans, grants, work study. They said it would teach me responsibility. Madeline failed 3 classes her first semester at community college. My parents paid for her to retake them, paid again when she transferred, paid again when she changed majors. 4 times. 6 years total. When she finally graduated, they threw a party so big you'd think she'd cured a disease. By then, I'd stopped expecting anything different, which is why Christmas Eve still managed to catch me off guard. My parents invited us over like they always do. I stopped by a wine shop after work, picked out a bottle my mom liked, grabbed fancy cheese from the specialty store next door, the kind with herbs in a wooden box. She'd mentioned wine pairings months earlier. I remembered. Madeline was already there when I arrived. New clothes, designer boots, scrolling on her phone. Barely looked up. Dinner was polite, controlled. I mentioned landing a major client at work. My mom smiled. My dad nodded, without looking up from his plate. 2 words. Sounds good. When Madeline talked about a job interview she hadn't even gotten yet, their faces lit up like Christmas morning. After dinner, we moved to the living room. Presents were passed around. My parents exchanged gifts. Then my mom handed Madeline a jewelry box. Real gold. Diamonds. Easily $2,000. Madeline cried. My parents cried. Photos were taken. Then my dad stood up with a grin I had never seen before. "Come here, Maddie," he said. "Come look outside." They'd made me move my car when I arrived. I realized why as soon as I stepped onto the porch. A brand new silver Honda CR-V sat in the driveway with a giant red bow. Madeline screamed. She ran outside in her socks, sobbing, touching the car like it might vanish. My mom filmed the whole thing, narrated it. Look at her face. I stood there, hands in my pockets, watching my parents wrap themselves around her like this was the happiest moment of their lives. 20 minutes later, my mom handed me a plain white envelope, dollar store thin. Inside was a $20 Target gift card. "You're so practical," she said. I smiled. I didn't know yet that a month later they'd ask me for $3,000. But in that moment, staring at $20, something finally settled into place. I drove home that night in silence, the kind that presses in on your ears until your own thoughts feel too loud. The streets were quiet. Christmas lights blinking from houses I'd never been inside, families I didn't know celebrating, in ways that felt distant and unreal. When I pulled into my apartment parking lot, I sat in my car for a long moment before turning the engine off, staring at the steering wheel, like it might explain something to me if I waited long enough. Inside, the apartment smelled faintly like pine from the little fake tree I'd set up by myself a week earlier. I kicked off my shoes, set my keys down, and placed the white envelope on the kitchen counter. It looked smaller under my own lights. Cheaper. I opened it again, as if maybe the number would change if I checked twice. $20. I leaned against the counter and laughed once short and sharp, then covered my mouth when the sound startled me. It wasn't funny. It just felt absurd, like the punchline to a joke that had been building my entire life. My boyfriend Daniel Harper called around 10. He could always tell when something was off by the way I answered the phone. How was Christmas Eve? He asked. I told him everything. Not dramatically, not angrily. I just laid it out, detail by detail, the jewelry, the car, the bow, the filming, the envelope. When I finished, there was a long pause on the other end. Wow, he said finally. That's really messed up, Ellie. It's fine, I said automatically. I'm used to it. That doesn't make it okay. I know. I stared at the gift card on the counter. It's not about the money. No, he agreed. It's about what it says. That was the part that stuck with me after we hung up. What it says. Christmas morning, Madeline texted me pictures of the car parked in front of her apartment. Different angles, different filters, heart emojis. Not once did she ask how my night was. Not once did my parents text either. My mom commented on every post Madeline made, writing things like, "So proud of you, sweet girl, and you deserve this." I used the gift card 2 days later to buy laundry detergent and paper towels. Very practical. The week drifted by quietly. I worked. I cooked dinner with Daniel. We talked about maybe starting to look at houses in the spring. I almost convinced myself I'd moved on. Then on January 4th, my dad called. He never calls unless he wants something. "Hey, sweetheart," he said, using a tone that felt rehearsed. "Your mom and I are having a bit of trouble with the mortgage this month. We had some unexpected expenses. We were hoping you could help us out with a loan." How much? I asked. About $3,000. I closed my eyes. And suddenly the $20 wasn't just a gift anymore. It was a number. $3,000. The number sat between us like a live wire humming with everything my father wasn't saying. I pressed my thumb into the edge of the kitchen counter, grounding myself, reminding myself to breathe. What kind of unexpected expenses? I asked. There was a pause, a shuffle like he was checking notes in his head. Well, Madeline's car insurance was more than we budgeted for, and we had to pay the first 6 months up front, plus some house maintenance. You know how it is. I actually laughed then. I couldn't stop it. It slipped out brittle and sharp. "So you're short on the mortgage because you paid for Madeline's insurance," I said. It's not like that he snapped defensive now. Multiple things hit at once. Your mother and I have always been there for you girls. I felt something cold settle in my chest. When I asked quietly, silence. When I worked 2 jobs in college, I continued. When I slept on a friend's couch because I couldn't afford rent between leases. When I bought my first car by myself and you pointed out a dent instead of saying congratulations. You're being dramatic, he said. This isn't the time to dredge up old grievances. No, I said, this is exactly the time. His voice hardened. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. We could lose the house, Norma. You're not going to lose the house over one late payment. The bank's been watching us since we refinanced. I didn't know if that was true or just another pressure tactic, but either way, something in me had shifted. I can't loan you $3,000, I said. What? His tone sharpened. You have a good job. You don't have kids. Where is your money going? My finances are my business, I said. I'm saving for a house. Daniel and I have plans. Another silence. Thicker this time. After everything we've done for you, he said slowly, this is how you repay us. You raised me, I said. You fed me and put a roof over my head until I was 18. After that, I paid my own way. You made that very clear. We were teaching you responsibility. And now Madeline's 25 unemployed, with a brand new car and paid insurance, I said. So who needed the lesson? That's different, he snapped. She's going through a transitional period. And I wasn't, I asked. Silence again. I can't help you, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. I have my own goals. His voice went cold. You're going to regret this. Family is supposed to help each other. You're right, I said. Family should help each other. I hung up. My hands were shaking. I stared at my phone, heart pounding, realizing I'd just done something I'd never done before. I'd said no. I didn't hear from my parents for 3 days. On the 4th day, my mom called. She was crying before she even finished saying hello, the kind of soft, breathless crying that's meant to pull something loose inside you. It worked when I was a kid. It almost worked now. Your father told me you won't help with the mortgage, she said between sobs. I can't believe you'd let us lose our home. Mom, I said carefully, you're not losing your home. We might, she insisted. The bank called today. Then maybe you should talk to Madeline, I said. Ask her to help. The silence on the line was immediate and telling. Madeline doesn't have any money, my mom said finally, as if that ended the conversation. She has a $30,000 car. That's different. How, I asked? Sell it? Refinance it? Something? She needs that car for job interviews, my mom snapped, tears drying instantly into irritation. You know that. I closed my eyes. I'm not giving you $3,000. This isn't my responsibility. You're being selfish, she said. After everything we've sacrificed for you. What did you sacrifice for me? I asked quietly. She gasped like I'd slapped her. That gift card was thoughtful, she said, changing tactics. We put a lot of thought into your Christmas gift. A $20 gift card is what you give a neighbor's kid, I said, not your daughter. You've always been ungrateful, she said, her voice sharp now, always keeping score. She hung up before I could respond. That night, Daniel came over with takeout. We ate on the couch cartons balanced between us. They're never going to see you as equal to Madeline, he said gently. You could give them $10,000 and they'd still find a way to make you the problem. I knew he was right. 2 days later, Madeline texted, Heard you won't help Mom and Dad with the mortgage. Really nice. They're stressed because of you. I stared at the screen, then typed back. They're stressed because they spent their mortgage money on your car insurance. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. That's not fair, she wrote. They were helping me get started. Then help them now, I replied. Sell the car. No response. That night I couldn't sleep. At 2 in the morning, staring at the ceiling, I had an idea. The idea didn't feel clever at first. It felt calm. I got out of bed and padded into the kitchen, opened the junk drawer where I'd tossed the white envelope after Christmas. The Target logo stared back at me like it had been waiting. I pulled out my laptop and went to Target's website. Digital gift cards. Instant delivery. I typed in my dad's email address. Amount $20. In the message box, I wrote for your mortgage. Hope this helps. Then I added my name. I hit send at 2:37 a.m. For the first time in weeks, I slept deeply. When I woke up, my phone was vibrating itself off the nightstand. Missed calls, texts, notifications stacked on top of each other like a pile-up. My dad's messages were first, all caps. Words like disrespectful, ungrateful, immature. He told me I was out of the will, that I was no longer welcome at family events, that I'd regret this for the rest of my life. My mom's messages came next, long paragraphs soaked in guilt. How could I do this to them? Didn't I care about family? She didn't raise me to be cruel. Madeline's texts were shorter, meaner, calling me names. Nothing creative. I read them all while drinking my coffee, feeling strangely steady. Then I sent a group text to all 3 of them. You gave me a $20 gift card for Christmas while giving Madeline a $30,000 car. When you asked me for $3,000, I gave you exactly what you gave me. If $20 is an appropriate Christmas gift, it's an appropriate mortgage contribution. I muted the thread and went to work. My boss noticed I was in a good mood and asked what was up. I told her I'd finally stood up to my family over some long-standing issues. She nodded. Good for you. Family doesn't get a free pass to take advantage. The rest of the week was blissfully quiet. No calls, no texts. Daniel thought the whole thing was hilarious. That's chef's kiss petty, he said, laughing. I didn't think of it as petty. I thought of it as honest. The silence stretched on longer than I expected. Days passed, then a week. My phone stayed quiet in a way it never had before, and I realized how much background noise my family had always been in my life. The constant commentary, the little digs, the expectation that I would always pick up, always explain myself, always smooth things over. Without that noise, my life felt lighter. Daniel and I started spending our evenings planning instead of processing. We talked about neighborhoods we liked, what we wanted in a house, whether we were ready for the responsibility of a yard. On weekends, we drove around open houses holding hands and imagining futures my parents weren't narrating. The only family member who reached out was my uncle, my dad's older brother. He called one afternoon and didn't bother with small talk. Your dad asked me to talk some sense into you, he said. And I asked. He laughed. I told him absolutely not. That was the first time I smiled at my phone in days. He told me things I'd never known. That our grandparents had played favorites too. That my dad had been the golden child and my uncle had moved 3 states away just to escape it. Don't let them guilt you, he said. Real family doesn't keep score. That helped more than he knew. By February, Daniel and I were officially house hunting. By March, we found one. By April, we moved in. I didn't tell my parents. They'd taught me I was on my own. In June, Daniel proposed. It wasn't dramatic or public. No crowd, no speeches. Just the 2 of us sitting on the back steps of our new house after a long day of unpacking boxes. He was nervous in that quiet way he gets fiddling with his ring finger like he was rehearsing something in his head. I know your family situation is complicated, he said, but I want you to know I'm not going anywhere, with or without them. Then he asked. I said yes before he finished the sentence. We told people in waves, friends first, then coworkers, then my uncle who showed up the following weekend with a bottle of whiskey and a toolbox like this was the most natural reaction in the world. Hear from your parents, he asked, as we sat on the back deck watching the sun dip behind the trees. No, I said, and I don't expect to. He nodded. They're waiting for you to apologize. That's not happening. Good, he said, raising his glass. Stick to your guns. My mom eventually sent a message, not a call, a message. Congratulations, I suppose. Madeline sent one too. Hope your husband knows what he's getting into. I blocked her. When Daniel and I started planning the wedding, he asked gently if I wanted to invite my parents. Not unless they apologize, I said. Do you think they will? I didn't even hesitate. No. We got married in September. Small ceremony, close friends, people who had shown up consistently and without conditions. My uncle walked me down the aisle. I didn't cry until I saw Daniel waiting for me at the end. My mom sent a card afterward. We're very hurt you excluded us. We hope you'll reconsider how you treat your family. No apology, no acknowledgement, just guilt. I threw it away. 2 months later, I found out I was pregnant. Pregnancy changed the tone of everything. It wasn't dramatic at first, just a quiet shift. Fatigue, nausea, the slow realization that my body was doing something miraculous and exhausting all at once. Daniel hovered in the background making tea, reminding me to eat, rubbing my back without asking. For the first time, I felt held in a way that didn't come with expectations attached. We told people carefully. My uncle cried. Daniel's parents cried harder. My phone stayed quiet from my side of the family, and honestly, I preferred it that way. Then a package arrived. No return address. Just an Amazon shipping label with my parents' zip code printed in the corner like a signature they didn't want to own. Inside was an expensive baby monitor system, the kind with cameras, temperature sensors, motion alerts. At least $300. No card, no note, no apology tucked inside. Daniel looked at me. What do you want to do? I stared at the box longer than necessary. This was their pattern distilled. When words were required, they sent money. When accountability was needed, they bought things. I'm sending it back, I said. He nodded immediately. No hesitation, no debate. I repackaged the monitor, printed a return label, and dropped it off the next morning. An hour later, my phone rang. I answered without checking the number, assuming it was work. It was my dad, calling from my mom's phone. Did you return the baby monitor? He demanded. Yes. Why would you do that? His voice cracked with anger. Your daughter needs... My daughter has everything she needs from people who respect us, I said. There was a long silence. This is still about that Christmas gift card, isn't it? He said finally. No, I said. It's about 30 years of being treated like I don't matter. The gift card just made it impossible to ignore anymore. You gave Madeline a $30,000 car and me $20, I said. Then you asked me for $3,000. If you still don't see the problem, there's nothing left to discuss. Your mother is crying, he said quietly. Then maybe she should think about why I said and hung up. The baby arrived 3 weeks early on a quiet Tuesday morning, like she couldn't wait any longer to meet the people who were actually ready for her. She was healthy, 8 pounds even, a full head of dark hair like Daniel's, and a grip so strong the nurse laughed when she wrapped her tiny fingers around mine. The moment they placed her on my chest, something in me finally settled. Not healed, settled, like a door clicking shut behind me. My uncle was at the hospital within an hour. Daniel's parents drove down the same day, arms full of food and blankets, and a certainty that they belonged there. The room filled with voices that were gentle, supportive, unburdened by old scores. My parents didn't know until 2 days later when a cousin posted a photo online. My mom commented beneath it, "Beautiful baby. Wish we could have been there." I didn't respond. The next afternoon, a package arrived. Again, no return address, same zip code. Inside was another expensive gift, this time a baby swing, still in its original packaging. No card, no message. I didn't even bring it inside. I taped it shut and scheduled a pickup. An hour later, my dad called from my mom's phone. I answered by accident. Did you return the swing? He asked. Yes. Why are you doing this? He demanded. We just want to be involved. You can be involved when you acknowledge what you did and apologize, I said calmly. Not before. This is ridiculous, he snapped. We gave you a perfectly nice Christmas gift. That was it. That was the line. I blocked his number. My mom left a voicemail. She said they didn't understand why I was being so difficult, that they'd always treated Madeline and me equally, that if I didn't let them see their grandchild, I'd regret it. I deleted it. Madeline messaged me through social media before I blocked her there too. You're really going to keep mom and dad from their grandkid over a gift card? Grow up. I screenshotted it and sent it to my uncle with one line, "Still doesn't get it." He replied almost immediately, "They never will. But look at what you've built." He was right. A month later, I bought myself a guitar, a really nice one. I signed up for lessons and showed up every week, fingers sore, heart light. Every time I played, I thought about 13-year-old me being told we couldn't afford it. I smiled every time I remembered I could afford it now. 6 months passed. My parents sent a Hallmark card with a $50 Amazon gift card inside. No note, no apology, just a slightly higher number, like they were negotiating my worth. I used it to buy diapers. Fitting. Last week, my mom called my uncle and asked if I'd consider reconciling if they apologized. Would you? He asked me later. I thought about it, really thought. If they genuinely apologize and acknowledge what they did, I said, yes. He sighed. I don't think they're capable of that. I know, and that's okay. They taught me my value could be measured in $20. I learned the lesson, and then I decided what I was worth.